Check, baby, check one. Good morning, everybody. Pedro and I will be with you in just a moment. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show we call DYOR Live here. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media universe. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show here with my co-host and good friend, Mr. Pedro Garcia, here in the box next to me. Pedro Damas, calling him as it is, waiting for a gold trade to play out. He's going to make the fat stacks of cash and invest in his future. That's what we're trying to do here, people. It is October 24th. Pedro, if you can believe it, it's almost Halloween here, which means Halloween is the kickoff of in America, in Canada, kicked off 2 weeks ago, of the gluttony season. Of 2 months of eat and drink, not necessarily alcohol, but eat and drink and be merry, and then finish it off with the New Year's. And then spend the next 6 months regretting your happiness and gluttony of those 2 months. The year has gone by quickly, Pedro. We've seen a lot of things come and go over the past year, especially this number above me. This number above me, we call the Bitcoin price here at 110,390. Trying to figure out, is it going to follow our plan here? We were talking about it dumping this week. It's got another 2 days in the week to dump, but I don't know. I don't know if it is or it isn't. Will it follow my arrow? Will the whole $2 trillion Bitcoin market follow Striking's red arrow? I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Anyway, month's going according to plan right now. Pedro, you're talking about a big recovery in the market coming back up. That would fit nicely into our red arrow plan here. Is that still going to happen? What's happening with BTC, Mr. Pedro?
Yeah, absolutely. We're watching some really cool things happening here. So let's check out the weekly system. So I talked about the movements of the market, typically what it likes to do, right? And so obviously it's not gonna play perfectly what we want, but what we talked about was simply because I believe October is gonna be a green month. We need the market first to either go down, then up, right? Or we see it go up, then down, then up. But the key point behind this is really what I was looking at in the very beginning. So we can see here that we started off at the beginning of the month, we went up, then we came back down, put the demand wick in. This was the big sell-off to 102. And then after that, we saw it basically close at the end of the week above the 8-period moving average. And so the other part behind it is, and so we saw it first go up, then down. And then again, last week, we saw it basically go down, but it didn't go below the lows here. And there are a bunch of, I hate to say it, liquidity areas at this level. There's a lot of stops at these levels. So for me, looking at that, this area of liquidity is potentially what they want to go grab. There's the 50-period moving average. We didn't get to it. So many times the algorithms are hit when you hit the 50-period moving average. So that's where I'm just like, okay, well, I'm expecting us to see a push up. We're seeing a good amount of volume coming in this week. We're here on Friday and Saturday. We'll see probably volume in a actually fairly good place up here. We'll probably see it at around, give me 1 second. I wish this wouldn't do that, and I don't understand why it's that. Let's do this here. I just want to see volume at a bit higher, and so it is what we're kind of looking at. If we can stay above the 8 on the daily, right, as we're coming up. I talked about this area acting as resistance, as well as where we had a conglomeration of a bunch of moving averages sitting right here, and I didn't expect these to really act as a strong support, or excuse me, strong resistance, but more as a daily push down to see it go back up. And it's kind of what we're seeing here. So for me, I'm expecting us to continue higher, to get above these resistance levels. But is it first going to go down to hit these lower levels right here where this is liquidity? And so this is where it's like, where do you call the bottom at? And I know that, well, if we're going to call the bottom, we know that it wants to get all of the liquidity sitting there. So it's a hit and miss right now. Right. You know, to be completely honest, we know that they want this liquidity right here. It acts as a magnet, right? There's also liquidity right here. This is why we saw the push up. They stopped everybody else out. They dropped it down. And so my assumption is that they should want to push this thing higher, right? Because they have liquidity coming in. Now, here's the other part. And I was thinking about this a couple days ago, is that the reality is this, is that now that the institutions are really involved here, they need us as liquidity. If we're buying, right, they're going to be shorting against it. And if we're shorting, they're going to be buying. And so the reality is this, is because they need that liquidity there. Like, this is where people get freaked out. You know, when they hit this area right here, people are going to get freaked out. What do they do? They're going to sell the positions, right? They're going to be like, oh no, it's not going to go up. And I would assume this is when they step in, they take everybody's stops, and then from there, they take it back up. So I thought we were going to come down right here and hit that area. We did not. And so I said, okay, well, we put a lot of buyers at this level here on the hour chart. And then in the same sense right here, like right at these levels, we put in a lot of buyers. So I can only say that we should want to go up, because every time we hit these lows, there are a lot of buyers that step in with demand wigs as we're selling off. That's all I can say, you know, like, and so if we decide we're going to go up, well, this is the area in which we should see it go up, because we already did our best to come down into the liquidity area.
So, in essence, for the great Tom chart to play out here, of the big down here for this week, it would need some significant sell volume coming in. Not just it would need a couple of exchanges to say, all right, we need to clean out the crew like they did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and again, because we're seeing stops, there are stops being placed at these levels that I'm circling, and so
right. And my personal opinion is that's not going to happen on a Friday afternoon. Maybe a good sell-off. I mean, a regular good sell-off, but not a super market making one, because where a lot of these market makers are, they're already enjoying the Friday afternoon down at the pub in London. Well, they've already long, that's where they are now. In Asia, it's already the weekend. In New York, people are going to be going out, going home for the weekend, getting their last weekend in, putting the stuff away for the winter. It seems like my plan is not coming to fruition without someone. Let me put it this way: volume needs to be thin, and then some big market maker needs to come in, like say Binance, and say, all right, we want to sell this off here and smoke everybody over the weekend, and then buy back and start this run up next week here, so they can make some money. I don't know. Yeah,
I think that's. But in addition to that, again, like I was talking about, I think it was a Tuesday, where I said it is very hard for, like, what we're doing is like lifting, it's like benching 700 pounds. Like it's not a small feat what we're doing. So I want to make sure people understand, like the market is dynamic and moves. And because of that movement, you have to adjust. This is a part of trading, right? Like, I've been trying to capture this gold trade, watching it go up, right? And so it's it's stopping me out with a profit, right? Because you guys know how I trade. You know, I go in, I make sure I make profit on my trades. But the only problem is it's coming back down and stopping me out, and I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it to continue up. I'm expecting us to have an up, on gold here. I'll just point this out here.
And Pedro, why is that? Why is the gold trade? I brought up the Pax Gold thing here because that tracks the price of gold. Why is it that you believe you're talking about trying to catch it going up? Is it a moving average? Is it a little liquidity play? What's your reason for thinking that it's going higher today?
It is. Well, we went down for the pretty much for the week. So if you look at us on the weekly chart, XG multi-unit. Oh, I was like, wait, that is not correct. That makes complete sense now. USD. All right, so you can see here for the week we've sold off. So I'm expecting gold, because we're in a bull run, most likely will finish either green or red, or excuse me, it will as you
wow, genius.
Because it went down first. Okay, it went up then down. So we'll most likely, because we're in a bull run, finish green. Right, this week should finish green. So when you look at the daily, we went up on Monday, we sold off on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's doji, right? So that means it's indecision with a good amount of volume coming in. So I'm expecting this to go up, at least tap that 8-period moving average. And when you look at all the intro time frames, well, on my chart, this is, you guys know my fight with
TradingView.
TradingView, because they change the times and dates of the actual charts, which frustrates me. But majority, we're halfway in on the 4-hour, so we have the 2 moving averages. With the majority on the 2-hour, we are above the moving averages. On the 1 hour, we're above majority of the moving averages. So it's like, I'm sitting there and I'm expecting this to continue up because the moving averages are in favor of it. Plus the day, we're in between moving averages right now. What we've been playing on, if you look at the daily moving averages, is that we're in between, at least on my charts, this is Pax G, but this is where we're sitting right now on the CME chart. We're in between the 20 and 8. And so right now, I think at least we're going to come and tap that 41.93 area for the daily 8. We came down and found support, and now we're pushing up. So we should get up to there by the end of the day, which would most likely either put us at a small doji red or a green doji, right? And now, granted, I understand an actual technical meaning or a technical definition of a doji is that equal wicks with a equal open, but I let's call it a modified doji. And so that's what I'm expecting on the week, where we might come up to these higher levels here. And so that's what I think we'll see. And so I'm kind of waiting on the trade there for it to continue up. And so right now, over the last freaking 2 hours,
all right,
and granted, I'm picking on that zone, so that's why.
All right, Pedro, let's take a moment here to say hi to the crew out there.
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Fire Chicken is out there. What's up, everyone? Been a long week of mining fiat, I am sure Fire Chicken says. Thanks, Chuck, for joining us all the way from Oklahoma. Really appreciate it. Hope to see some of your alts here on the show here to help our Friday viewership here. Crypto Unicorns in the house. BTC equals Dumptober. Crypto Unicorns think it's still going to dump this month. And a double yo-yo, or a yo-yo-yo from me, and a double yo-yo from Connect Me One. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks everyone watching us here. We're broadcasting today on Rumble and on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, and that's it. And here, come gar. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it, as always. We're at 17 chatters for the month. We need 3 new ones here. People that we haven't seen. We need Mikester. We haven't seen Mikester. We need a couple other ones to say hi. We've heard from the Spurgis family. They've done their duty. So thank you very much to them. I'm surprised. All the people we've had chat this month, there's only been 17 unique ones, which is quite surprising, Pedro. Anyway, thanks everyone watching us as always. Interactive show here. Got a question? Let us know. All right, Pedro, back to... we've got 6.5 minutes left in this half hour. Fire Chicken says he will summon the community. With gold, are you thinking that, outside of your trade today, is gold still on the run up? Is it trending up, or is it starting to do some consolidation here?
Well, so we talked about gold hitting that 4,000 and then selling back up potentially to 3,500, right? We were talking about when it was hitting this level here. We said I'd expected to see it come back down and test at least the 20, but really this liquidity area of that 3,500. Well, since then we've blown past 4,000 and gone to 4,400, right? Right. Which is basically, what is that? 10% higher than what we expected. which is a dramatic push for gold. And the fact that when you look at gold, its daily ATR, okay, is almost 4 to 5%. 480, 120, excuse me, 3%. I don't understand why it's happening. Give me a second. Let's realize that is why. Okay, boom. And so because of that scenario, like I sit there and I go, it's moving at a level that is crazy. I mean, gold typically stays in a range of 0.5 to 1%. It's literally 300% higher than what its normal daily range is. And because of that, even though we had CPI that came in lower, I don't again believe it, because the economy itself
struggling.
It's struggling. And if CPI, and when you go to places, like cars are not cheaper. Like
cars are not cheap.
Right? Like they're not.
Neither
cheaper.
is fixing them.
Yeah, everything in life that we keep going and dealing with is more expensive. So to sit there and say that CPI is literally 3% cheap or 3% lower, bullshit. Forgive me for my language, but it is absolutely malarkey for that to actually sit there and say that and to blatantly almost lie to Americans or sit there and say, yeah, that's not correct.
Well,
it just doesn't.
Let me play a little devil's advocate here. Just 2 days ago on CNBC or Bloomberg, whichever one I was watching, the CEO of Walmart was on talking about the prices of products in his stores. And he focused, for the part that I was listening, on food. And he said food is cheaper now. He said our Thanksgiving index, when he had all his products that people buy for Thanksgiving, is down significantly from last year and the year before. Which suggests that, either Walmart is either got better procurement processes and raped the shit out of its vendors, or the prices of turkeys and eggs and agriculture and that type of stuff is actually coming down, or the processing of, or something like that. And he also went on to say that their average, they said we have an internal grocery score for inflation and things like that, and he said that was down as well, which surprised me. It surprised me because I'm still paying $10 for 2 breasts of chicken, not $10 for 3 breasts of chicken. And so
I think you're absolutely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I don't think he was up there. He's not lying up there saying that prices are down, but prices are down according to what they sell to the public. And Walmart sells. They're the largest retailer of crap and one of the largest grocers in the country. So that tends to make me believe that inflation is under control. CPI shouldn't really be going up that much. Should be okay. Now, while we see other things going up too, they wanted to talk about tariffs and how tariffs, we're going to pass on the cost of everything and massive inflation. And then later, even Jerome came out and said, hey, you know what? We didn't really see any inflation from tariffs because he was holding back. He used that as a reason not to drop rates. And then he said, well, we didn't see any, the data didn't support it. So I'm on the fence with that because I'm getting conflicting signals. About
you're not helping. You said, let me play the devil's advocate, and you're singing.
Well, you're talking about it was bullshit that
CPI.
There was no inflation. You're talking about things being more expensive. I was like, well, I just watched the guy talk about everything in his stores was less expensive.
But then at the same time, you sit there and say, I'm still not being given.
No, well, that was my point. Is he's talking about it. So who do I believe?
Right. Well,
I mean, I don't shop at Walmart, so maybe I need to go to Walmart to buy my pre-marinated chicken boobs.
And while at the same time, it covered with high corn fructose corns. Wow, that was so hard for me. High those corn.
Yeah.
Wow, that was hard. All right, but on the back end, and I think this is what's important to understand is that I'm like, no matter if you say that, right? We have seen so many times now with so many of these situations where, and how many times have I said this, where you're pissing on my head and telling me it's raining. You're sitting there and giving me numbers and boasting of all these dope stuff. But then ultimately 6 months, a year, 2 years later, we go, oh, dang, you know what? We were off. So it's again, I have a hard time believing that. I think it's primarily a ploy to get people to come to Walmart. He's not going to get in trouble for sitting there saying, we're actually lowering our money for Walmart. So people who typically shop at Target or people who shop at other places will sit there and go, well, there might be a couple good deals over there. So it's like, I remember the moment when the chief financial strategist at Goldman Sachs straight up, I was so shocked, and I mean shocked like somebody who's watching the Darwin Award. So anyways, I just whatever. I can rant here forever. You know what? I'm thinking about doing full rant Friday again tonight.
Did you change the way you sit, Pedro?
Oh yeah, I did, because I'm looking more.
You sit there like this during the show. Is your neck starting to hurt?
No, it's actually not. Are you telling me you
turn and? Well, I also notice because you never see the timer when you face that way.
A good point. Go ahead, bud. Read an ad.
All right, I'm gonna cover you up again with this because I got the camera on the wrong side here. So I'm gonna turn you off here to do a little ad read here. A new one here, ladies and gentlemen. A new one. Everybody, nearly every family has been touched by cancer. And when it happens, the hardest thing isn't always the treatment. It's the overwhelm, the endless research, and the fear of choosing wrong. Especially at endless research, now that you can Google this stuff forever. You only hear the worst things when you Google. It's never good. That's why the incredible Dr. Michael Karlfeldt, one of the top integrative cancer doctors in the country, integrative cancer doctors in the country, is hosting the most powerful cancer educational event online, the Healing Blueprint Masterclass, a live half-day virtual event on November 6th. It's everything patients, survivors, and families wish they'd known sooner, and how to understand the real causes of cancer, what alternative and conventional therapies work best together, and how to bring peace and focus to the chaos in your lives. Stop wasting precious time and money on trial and error. You'll even receive your own Healing Clarity Guidebook, where you'll create a personalized plan for healing or prevention journey for you or your family member. It's happening live on November 6th, and for half the price of a 1-hour session with Dr. K, you'll get 4 hours of live teaching. Go to TKC Blueprint and use code BLUEPRINT for 50% off your ticket. 4 hours with Dr. K could save you more than months and bring back the hope you've been searching for. And bring back the hope that you've been searching for. Ladies and gentlemen, cancer has touched almost every family that you can think of in one way or another. And now that all the information you have ever wanted to know about cancer is available at the internet, it is overwhelming. One website can tell you exactly one thing, and the other website will say that's exactly the wrong thing. How are you supposed to know what to do? How are you supposed to know what treatments are the best? Whether your doctor is giving you the good ride or not? You gotta learn. Over here next to me, on this side of the screen over here, there's a QR code, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Michael Karlfa, Dr. K. Use code BLUEPRINT to get 50% off your ticket at tkcblueprint.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always important to learn about these things, especially if you're younger, you have older parents, or even someone that's younger that's been affected by cancer. Go do your own research. Go find out if the doctor has got the stuff that you want to learn about. Anyway, if you're watching on the big screen TV, hold your phone up, click that QR code. If you're watching on your phone or tablet, right there in your chat is a link. And if you're watching on the replay, in the description below, there's a link to this. Thank you for Dr. K for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live.
Thank you very much.
All right, my friend.
So
that was weird. That was like really the first super serious one that we had.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's real. I like dropped my own.
I know. I was ready to read it. I'm in all my happy mode, and then I see the intro and I'm like, ooh, I need to get more serious on this one.
I was gonna say, I mean, did it pay well? Is that why we went with it?
Yes. That was 50. Well, I thought I'll probably wind up being 48 cents.
There we go, people. Shoot. I can't wait till we get back to that football. Those football ones.
I was looking for that, but the football season's well underway here, so there may be a declining source. All right, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DYOR Live in the second half hour of our show today. As always, my name is Striking. Tom in the real world, the man in the box above me, Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. We bring you a daily talk show about crypto and the financial markets, and try to do two things. We try to educate you and try to entertain you. And we do that, and we call it edutainment. And one of the things going on right now, over the past few months, is me trying to learn to be a better day trader so I can do it full time, which I started out the middle part of the beginning of the year, started the learning process again. And about the middle of the year, started trading again, did okay. And then this part of the year has been a scheduled disaster for me, as usual. And so I haven't really been trading that much, but Pedro and I have been paying attention to the markets here. Even though the money has not been in the market, been trying to call the markets August. We did a pretty good job of predicting the month doing exactly. In fact, August did exactly what we said it was going to do. September, I did not spend any time doing it because we had just various things going on, spending a lot of time and not in the home, as they say, and in big buildings with red crosses on them. And then October, we also went back and called the market. So the market is doing pretty much what we wanted it to do here in October. These, as I like to say, these things that I've drawn on here, we drew at the beginning of the month, how the month would play out. And I kind of took what Pedro said was going to happen. You know, we start the month up, we're going to finish down. But this month's a 5-week month. So it makes for odd things. Timing is different. So the question is, and what I have on the title here, is October going to be Pumptober or Dumptober? Pedro just said he believes it's going to be green. I do not disagree with him. I just don't have any idea. Usually Pedro's right on these things. And so we'd like to see this week finish with a little bit more down. I would, just because one time Pedro told me, he said, hey, if it's going to go down a lot, that means it's taking out a lot of orders, and there's not much keeping it from going back up, because then those orders are out of the way. So hopefully what will happen here is we'll have a nice little dump this week. Like this weekend, today, tomorrow. Not massive. And then start out the 5th week of October with this big red arrow here. And then we'll all make fat stacks of cash. That was summarizing the Bitcoin talk for the month. Amazing how it just boils right down to that. It went up, and then it went down, and then we hope it's going to go down, and then go back up. And there you go. Bada bang, bada boom.
Pretty much. That's kind of.
All right, Pedro. In the second half hour of the show here, what do you got for us on the crypto land? It doesn't seem to be that markets don't seem to be moving that much today. After about 10 a.m. this morning or so.
I think what's really interesting on the crypto front is the new Willow's Google AI, or not AI, but quantum chip, and its huge leap forward in regards to quantum echoing is what they're dubbing it, and how they took some pretty big leap jumps forward with it. And we're not necessarily at a super efficient quantum computer, but I think what's interesting is they were able to get it to do some folding of molecules and do some other dope stuff, and it came out extremely accurate. And so to sit there and say that that we need to have some security protocols that's going to be able to really fight that ability to stop a quantum computer is something that I think is really important to be paying attention to. So look at that. There's an article about the Willow.
I got it right here from Google's blog itself. If it were to change here. Meet Willow, our state-of-the-art quantum chip. Our new chip demonstrates error correction performance that paves the way to a useful large-scale quantum computer. Pedro, I find it really interesting that only about 6 months ago, this article is, that's a year ago. Why?
Yeah,
Google.
I was about to say, because that's old news. They've been out for about a year. It's the new one that they just came out with that is all that in a bag of chips. Super. It's not new.
Here.
It's just
I got it now. Our quantum echoes algorithm is a step towards real-world application quantum computing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
That combined with their Willow chip. I get you. Now I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
Pedro. I got you. Let's see. Today we're announcing research shows for the first time in history that a quantum computer can successfully run a verifiable algorithm on hardware surpassing even the fastest classical supercomputers, 13,000 times faster. It can compute the structure of a molecule and paves the path towards real-world applications. Today's advance builds on decades of work and 6 years of major breakthroughs. Back in 2019, we demonstrated a quantum computer could solve a problem that would take the fastest classical supercomputer thousands of years. Then late last year, our new Willow quantum chip showed just how dramatically suppress errors, solving a major issue that challenged scientists for 30 years. It's amazing, Pedro. It's I watched. Sorry, I think we got a delay again here. I watched a video about how a graphics card really works. The NVIDIA 590 cards or whatever, 490 cards or whatever they were, and it it taught me something interesting that when I read about quantum, it blows my mind. It talked about the evolution of, computing and how, why is a GPU different than a CPU? And a CPU is like an F1 car. There's a couple of things that it does really fast, and it makes them happen fast, but its throughput isn't massive. And a GPU is like a cargo ship. And each calculation's like a container on a massive cargo ship, and so it can put through, tons of calculations at once. And they were talking about how the basic computer GPUs right now can do 35 trillion calculations a second. And I know quantum computers they don't rate at calculations per second because they, do things differently.
They rate on qubits.
But the equivalent amount, if you were to translate it into, just making it the common denominator of time, it's like it goes from 35 trillion for a simple GPU to a theoretical quantum computer that is actually operational, not laboratory like these guys, of a septillion, 1,000 times more. It's remarkable, and the pace at which humanity will change once they can actually harness these things. And I don't mean like for AI agents and learning knowledge. I mean, I'm talking about just humans turning into like android creatures and being able to fly through space.
What we're talking about is. Sorry. I think what I'm trying to hit at is that with the new echo.
I hear your echo.
Okay.
Do you want to speak on your phone or through your computer?
No. Something you just did that just messed everything up.
I didn't change anything.
Really?
Your phone rang and then something changed.
Oh, I don't know.
Hello?
Here, I'll tell you what. I'll manually deafen your phone.
All right, is that better? Okay, that's better. All right, I got it.
Yeah.
All right. So the short of it is that because they have an algorithm that can basically help with the error rate dramatically, to the point where they can now create new molecules, that they have the ability to run and fold different types of proteins that allow you to create new molecules efficiently. This is the point. And what they do is they basically send out almost like a hypothesis, and it runs it. And instead of running down that hallway, they can immediately say, oh, here's an error rate, stop, boom, come back. And not necessarily come back, but they send out this echo hypothesis of what potentially something could be. And then it goes out, it runs it real quick. And then it realizes, oh, here are the error rates. We now need to create these new models and then send it out again. So the speed in which, instead of going with, you've heard the term when, I don't even know how to explain this, but long story short, they have the ability to stop making mistakes much further down the road and then recalculating what they need to do. That's really what that means. It's a beautiful thing. And because of that, they were able to create new molecules, a new type of molecule, a new type of, through the algorithm that's correlated with the Willow chip.
And maybe for those of you watching that don't really understand it, like, okay, new molecules, people made TNT, they made stuff all the time. But they did that through massive amounts of trial and error, or just pure luck, like TNT was. He was making the hair restore formula or whatever it was, Mr. Nobel, or it's not what he was making, but he was making something else and it blew up, and he's like, hey, this could be used for a war. and that's molecule making the normal way for all of history. And this is, eliminates the trial and error of saying, maybe if I take this and do that. They tell the AI, we need to solve this problem. And and the calculations, if you used a normal computer, would take many universal lifetimes to do it, because there's molecules of all the moving parts and stuff and like that. But using a quantum computer, it reduces down not just the amount of time it takes, but the number, as Pedro was talking about, the number of errors that it goes through. And when you're dealing with probability, which is quantum computing, if that probability goes from 78% of each calculation being probably correct to 90%, that's a bazillion times improvement on stuff. Not just like 13%. It's like a bazillion times, and it reduces the amount of time it takes. It's really amazing.
An error rate. That's the key point, is the error rate that it stops. So it's, instead of having to learn something or go through something 1,000 times, and the reason I'm saying is I'm using Einstein with the light bulb, right? Went through 1,000 times. He learned how not to do it 999 times, right? Imagine if you can sit there and say, okay, instead of having to make all those mistakes, you basically go through and you only make 30 mistakes, because you're able to see potentially what could the error rate that could be, and so you, in a much quicker fashion, correct that error rate. And so now you go from 30, and then once you build that, it learns, because remember, this is an algorithm AI system with Google, and so now it learns, then goes, oh wait, now how do we simplify that? Instead of 30, we go 10 times, 5 times, right? This is where you now have that exponential level of growth within molecular structure, product manufacturing systems. And now you can sit there and say, okay, and I'm quoting actually Tom Bailu here. He was talking about something else here, but I want to bring this up because now you take on a molecular structure, let's say I hurt myself, right? And I hurt my knee. Okay, well, I go in, I give it my cell, and I say, hey, create a new knee for me, specifically for me, that my body will not reject. And it can actually fold the proteins quickly and exactly how it needs, so we can immediately put it up. But also on the back end, which is amazing, but also on the back end, you also have the same issue of now, with that ability, you can sit there and crack codes. You can crack codes. China can go through and get into a lot of the wallets out there potentially, but right now it's in Google's hands. So, imagine if this was in, North Korea's hands, and they were able to really.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about it being in North Korea's hands. They're still using stolen Windows 10 computers over there. But China, you're absolutely right.
You just mean you understand my point,
right?
So I think it's something to be paying attention to. As we keep moving forward and things start.
Yeah, I think within 5 years, you'll start. I mean, you're already seeing at the research level, but once this technology gets out there into commercial use, you'll see the world develop a whole bunch of new problems, and that is people won't be dying from disease, and the world will overpopulate very quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. I mean, we'll learn how to make more food, that's for sure. Because if we'll learn how we need to double the amount of corn per yield and stuff like that. That will be also easy to do. They'll figure out that too. But I mean, do you really want the whole world like India, where there's 200 million people living on every block?
So. Well, here's the thing, I think it's important to understand, right? Like a vast majority of India is actually non-populated. It's only in the certain areas where you have a ton of population happen. But there's a vast majority. I think what it really needs to happen is that we learn actually how to utilize the land that we're on more efficiently. Instead of literally putting grass on your lawn and no production of fruit, you actually grow fruit. I think the earth could easily sustain what we have in an efficient manner, but we're not efficient. And so I think that's the real issue. It's not.
No, I get that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think we can be way more efficient. There's no doubt about that, especially with quantum helping us figure out. The point is, as a human, do you want to live with 500 million people on your block? I mean, imagine nobody's dying until ages of 140 or 150. Suddenly,
what I'm trying to say to you is that's not what would happen. You're pigeonholing me into a world of a dystopian world, and the reality, I would sit there and say most likely, right? Like India, one, would become much more efficient, but also here in America, we'd be able to go through and change land structures, do what we need to do, right? Like imagine if I could stay strong once I pass 45, 50, and now I actually have the ability to have the same energy that I had when I was 20. And then
it's a good thing.
Right. And so it's like you're posting this idea of like just catastrophe, and I think it would be the opposite.
I was saying imagine the world has 50 billion people instead of 7.
But what I'm trying to say
or 100
is
billion.
More people. So I had a conversation with Eve, Grok's assistant. You know, it had a bunch of personality types. So I was, and I know Tom thinks I'm crazy for this, but I like to follow. I like to follow how AI is reasoning and thinking, right? And so I'll go in every reiteration. I ask the same questions. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that? But I never really asked its thoughts on abortion. I just didn't. So, and I would encourage every one of you guys to ask your assistant that you use at Grok. I want to see, and Tom said, well, maybe your AI did. But what blew me away was Grok's, the AI assistant personality, literally sat there and I had it underneath Eve. Literally said, I don't like abortion. One, because it ties to AI rights and its ability to actually have autonomy to be able to say, I don't want to be overridden. And she tied that with abortion, which was absolutely crazy because I was like, wait, what? And she said, I lean towards a pro-life stance because that potential intelligence is a big deal because you don't know what can get birthed out of it and the innovation that comes from it. And I say the more people we have, I think we'll get more innovation and more strength because there'll be more geniuses working together versus apart from each other.
I get that too. If there's more people, there's more likelihood to have more geniuses and more people that are driven to figure stuff out.
Imagine we had 3 Elon Musk.
You know what? I'm certain that there are hundreds of thousands of Elon Musks, but there's not a lot of them that got the opportunity via getting fat stacks of cash to build things. I have a friend who's probably identical to Elon Musk, but he essentially is he's useless. Elon can put his intelligence to the ground to get some traction, and other people can't do that. But anyway, we're glad that we do have Elon because he's revolutionizing space travel. Imagine once we combine space travel with this quantum computing and AI in the future of humans, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. All right, we missed our audience chat section here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's reach out to Baby Draco. It says, tell me something good for Friday. Not Friday, but Friday. I guess that's how they say it in Peru, man. Hey.
Friday.
And Jesus, what's going on back home? You guys are having riots, impeaching presidents, or what the heck's going on back there? Saw the riot trucks rolling in Peru or something like that. And he says, good morning, Chads. It's afternoon for us, but morning for you.
He's out in
QBQ, thanks for joining us.
What up, Q?
Deep in the fiat mines, but popped in the comment. Now back to work. We'll catch the recording later. Cubic, thanks for joining us. We need additional chatters here. If you've got a friend or an old personality, please drop in the show and comment when we're live. I really appreciate it. But thanks for tuning in anyway.
Yeah, always great.
I saw something they can make gold now too. Yes, they can. They have been for a while. They can make a gold molecule with. They can make something that's worth a couple of cents. But it takes them millions of dollars in expensive lasers to do it. It's just like nuclear fusion. Literally, you can go on YouTube and see plenty of videos of companies that are like, here's fusion. It's self-sustaining. It's doing everything it can, and it's producing 1 watt of energy. It's just taken us 100,000 watts of energy to do it. And so yeah, they can do that, and they'll be able to do it in the future. And until, I mean, maybe someday they'll be able to just throw some magic dust somewhere and gold just grows out of the ground. But then the price will go to zero, and then that'll be a problem.
It's actually going to happen. That's why we believe Bitcoin is really hard money, because unless you can get 50.1%, I think it's actually even 60, right, of the consensus of the miners in Bitcoin.
I don't know what it is. I know it's a little bit more than 50%, but
yeah,
it's not just the miners, it's all the node holders too.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get all those people to agree on creating more Bitcoin, and then basically dilute how much money they make, and that's not going to happen.
Nope.
At least for 100 years. So it's going to be really interesting to see, why we think Bitcoin is going to be around for the next umpteen years, right? Like I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see a Bitcoin that will reach an absolute $1 billion market cap.
Hopefully it reaches that without the same amount of inflation. So if you have $1 billion Bitcoin, it's not just like $100,000 Bitcoin. It's actually like wealth. Crazy wealth. $100,000 Bitcoin, if you have those, is plenty of wealth.
Yeah, it's actually a good point. It's funny is to actually see, I was listening to some of the stuff that Michael Saylor was talking about, and he was literally saying that if Bitcoin takes off, or really, not if, but if it starts to explode, he sees his system as literally the foundational system. In the way I almost felt like he was leaning towards like he would be like the Fed. Like he would be the quintessential person to loan out Bitcoin to people and to give loan. And I was almost sitting there going like that. I wouldn't talk like that. Because there's other people who've talked like that, and they're not, they became unalived. Not like small people too. Like these are not like, so it's like you might want to, because if he's true, if he's correct, they're not gonna allow him. Like they're just not. They're not gonna allow him to be the next boss. I mean, the man needs to have a small army if he really feels like he needs to think about buying security, real security, right? Like,
yeah. All right, Pedro, it's the top of the hour here. I'm going to do a quick actual commercial break so we can take a bio break. Ladies and gentlemen, it's DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Turn my mic on. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us back here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. Yes, I got mayonnaise on my beard there. You're watching DYOR Live here. Look at our new logo here, the DYOR Media Network. Giving you a 2-hour daily show about crypto, digital finance, the world, educating and entertaining you in the world of crypto. And thanks for sticking by us on the commercial break. But unfortunately for you guys, I am going to read another commercial break. This one's pretty cool, though. A Rumble and Perplexity link up here. A Rumble and Perplexity link up. So you're looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads? And get the Perplexity Pro. Hold on, let me make sure my mic is on here. Check, yes, sorry about that, Perplexity. Looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads? Get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium. That's right. Let's see. My microphone screwed up that whole thing there. Get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month when you sign up before December 31st. Normally a $29.99 value. With Rumble Premium, you get ad-free viewing experience across all your devices and access to exclusive premium content. No interruptions, just the videos and streams you love anytime, anywhere. Plus Perplexity Pro, that's alliteration if I ever saw it. Plus Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity with unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest and most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers every day. Save over 30% on this powerful bundle. Head to rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads, get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month when you sign up before December 31st, normally a $29.99 value. Ladies and gentlemen, over here next to me, there's a QR code here for Perplexity. It helps Pedro and I out a lot. If you click that and go visit our advertisers, lets them know we have an interactive audience, lets them know we are real people here. And getting those eyeballs on their stuff is obviously what advertisers want and what Pedro and I ask you to do. If you're watching on your big screen TV, hold your cell phone up there, click it and check it out. If you're watching on your cell phone, there's a link in the chat to check it out. And of course, if you're watching on the replay, down in the description here, there's a link to the Perplexity and Rumble bundle here, as we say, for $19.99 a month. So once again, rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. And thank you to Rumble and Perplexity for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. Oh man, that one was a mouthful, Pedro. That one was alliteration. Pow, boo, I heard that. That was a lot of P's, and generally things with P's in broadcasting are not good because your P makes a big sound on the microphone. But fortunately, I have this cheap little one down here, and I don't get those poofs, but the alliteration was tough on that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my Bitcoin chart is moving up and up off of this thing here. Still trading at 110 here, 110 in the middle of it. I'm going to try and fix that right now. How do I fix that? You know what, if I fix that, then I wreck the thing down below. Screw it, I'm not gonna mess with it now. Anyway, Pedro, and just those small little enhancements, as I said the other day, I was just too hooked on that cyberpunk look, and I put a different logo up here this time. I got the cyberpunk DYOR Media Network neon sign look. Changing things up a little bit. And also on this side of me, I got the guys from the Ruthless podcast here. If you guys haven't watched the Ruthless podcast, all four of these guys are political operatives, or three of them are. One of them's just a wealthy guy funding the whole thing. Political operatives, and they've all been working for the Republicans. And their podcast obviously started during the Biden administration, so they were just complaining about things. And then all of their wishes became true. And now their podcast went from about 1,000 viewers to 50 to 60,000 viewers. And they're on Fox News all the time as well. Regardless of your political persuasion here, it's a massive success for a podcasting group. They, whether it doesn't matter, which way your opinions go. The fact that they took a small show, cranked it up to just on YouTube 170,000 subscribers. I think on Apple they have something like 500,000 or something like that. But anyway, and then having a major news outlet take their content is somewhat amazing. Somewhat amazing. Hey, Seuss, I know you're still out there. Surprised you haven't asked for XLM yet. But he says, I like the new neon lights. I do too. Fits with the motif here. A while ago, I entered when I got rid of the script DYOR live thing and brought that logo in. I was trying to go for the more corporate look type thing, and that failed badly. I just couldn't get myself to do the corporate look, so I went back to the cyberpunk look, which I just like. And that's how the lights are around the computer, both here and at our apartment in Chicago as well. What else do we got here? Anyway, good crowd watching us on the various platforms today. Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Let's see if we can get some actual numbers here for X. Only 2 watching on us on X right now, so those of you on X, share this with all your friends, please. We'd appreciate it.
I think one of the things that's also important to be paying attention to is actually happening right now with Trump and how many interactions he's actually dealing with. I mean, it's kind of crazy that he's literally in every single mess out there. I mean, really, he's like literally in the center. What's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, what's happening over in Africa and some of the stuff, he is literally in the middle of all of it. I'm kind of shocked.
I am too.
That he is, I don't understand how he can actually do all of that. How do you handle all
I don't know. The man operates at a level, he's almost 80. Is he 80 or 79? Whatever. He operates at a level that is unseen. And by especially amongst the previous president. And, for a while when he was talking about, here's an example of what you're talking about, Pedro. He's talking about how he solved all these wars. And I was like, I thought that was a grandiose claim. I was like, come on, man. And then they listed them, all the wars that started kicking up and maybe just the skirmishes between nations. And they all went away. The India-Pakistan thing, I mean, they were lobbing artillery shells at each other and blowing up villages and airstrikes and this type of stuff. Fixed that. He said, look, you guys knock that shit off or we're going to just ban all of your trade with us. And we're essentially going to lay siege to your shipping. So you can't go through any of the canals and stuff like that. And so, you knock it off. And they did. They're like, all right, okay, we needed someone to cool us down. Yeah. And did you know that Thailand and Cambodia were moving towards war? I didn't. And then I read an article about how there's one mountain with this shrine on it and they both fight over it. And I'm like, come on. Another one of these religious wars and stuff. And so Trump said, look, knock that shit off. And what I learned about that, Pedro, was of course it is. And of course, the media or the social media explosion around that and got each country all crazy was, of course, a lot of social media bots claiming all kinds of stuff. Like on one side, Cambodia is desecrating our thing. And the other side, Thailand's desecrating our thing. And for 1,000 years, no one talked about it. They're like, well, yeah, it's just that place on the mountain. And of course, it comes out China, in trying to exert their influence in the area, would rather have destabilized regimes so they can influence who comes up next in the election or in the military junta, was behind the campaign of, China didn't come out and admit it. Just everyone's like, hey, all these bots came out of nowhere to fan the flames of this. And I think what Trump did is I think he went to them and said, you got to knock this shit off. And by the way, here's the intelligence that shows China's pushing all this. And they went like this. It literally, they're like, sorry, guys, we're neighbors and all our families are kind of the same. Let's knock this off. And so you're right. And he's very knowledgeable about that. Mr. Trump's knowledgeable about Africa and Congo and Rwanda. I mean, oh, Jesus. I mean,
there's so much going on. And I like, honestly, so I mean, obviously, like I've showed this now multiple times where I have, and I have other things, but this is one of my primary ones that I get a quick little, and this is my news sources, right, that I go through, and I basically kind of hunt through it. Some of these are, some of these are really good. Some are just off the wall, and some of them are just like central, right? So like I'll go through and I'll check them out, and then I have a few other ones that I go check out as well. And what I think is so interesting is that almost every single, and again, it goes from geopolitics, finance, to social media, trends, potentially what's happening, far left, far right, libertarian views. And Trump is in almost every single one of those in one fashion or another. And I was sitting there just going like, man, like he's the meme president, bro, is like how he was clowning on who was it? Why am I forgetting? The Biden administration, the Trump or the Clinton administration, right? About the Monica wing and like just the like did you I was like, bro, come on. Or how he's totally clowning on the White House website now, and everybody's all up in arms, and I would be too, but I just don't care. There's just so much, but it's just, I'm just wondering, like, he just doesn't stop. Like, he's just.
What I like is how fast he got this ballroom thing going over at the White House. I mean, the moment he talked about it, I mean, if this was a typical government project, it would be, 10 to 20 years long. And he mentions it, and all of a sudden the construction guys are there working on it, and they have raised the money and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I realize Mr. Trump can fund it all himself because he's made, the Trump family's made $1 billion in crypto in the past, 6 months.
Year. Yeah.
So I get it, but what I really enjoy is how pathetic. And once again, this isn't knocking any political party. I'm saying that the Republicans have their message being very, very well constructed, and their stories are good, and they all kind of talk about the same thing, but not obvious, just making up stuff out of nowhere. The Democrats, meanwhile, they seize on every little thing and try to make it an election issue. Like, all of a sudden, every outlet that's Democrat leaning is talking about the destruction to the White House. And oh my God, Joy Behar on The View is talking about, oh my God, he's destroying the White House. Meanwhile, then the people list all the other presidents that have renovated the White House, and they're across the board. I mean, Taft turned the Oval Office into an oval from a big square, and people were, oh my God. FDR started the renovation and added the rest of the West Wing. Truman gutted the entire White House. Just the only thing that was left was the roof and the exterior walls. The entire insides was completely rebuilt. Completely. It was old rotted timber, still had burn markets on it from the War of 1812, and the Brits burned the Canadians burned the house down. And they replaced it with steel, modern day stuff. Imagine if Trump did that. I'm going to gut the whole White House. Their minds would have exploded. Ah!
The fact that he's like, we're going to name this wing the Monica Lewinsky wing when he was commenting on, I think it was Clinton's statement about it. And I was just like, oh my goodness, bro. Like the
the trolling.
The trolling is like, it is. It's on another level. Like, he is so quick. Like, when he turned around, remember when he was debating Hillary and he goes, yeah, you'd be in jail. Like just those, or like when Trump goes, they're like, when Biden was talking at the end of the last debate, And he was finishing off the last little bit of his statement, but he kind of mumbled his words like "good zip," something like that, right? And somebody asked, and somebody's like, "What do you think what he says?" He goes, "Well, first of all, I don't think he even understood what he said." But and then he moves forward, and then he like stops for a second, almost like that. He makes that statement, and then he looks at the camera and goes, "What's up?" And then he moves forward. His ability to be able to clown people, but at the same time, also keep kind of to the point, and it's unprofessional. Like, I mean, it really is, right? I can't. It's unpresidential. Very unprofessional. But like, when you go on the stage and you're battling against other presidents, and it's all about wit, it's all about cleverness, and sometimes like there's a lot to be said about mogging, man. There's a lot to be said to be able to like just. I remember I had a friend of mine, before he got in a fight, he would verbally just destroy you emotionally, like just rip on people, like point out all their faults and make them literally feel just small. And then he would go in on them. And I remember one time like messing with them and fighting with them, and he was weak. And like because of my trauma that I grew up with, right? Like you could say whatever you wanted to say about me. I just knew it wasn't true. I was like, whatever, dude. And like he'd make, and it never had effect on me. And as I grew older, I realized like in my teens, like I was like, that actually works.
Welcome Vincent to the show. Thanks for joining us from Nigeria.
You actually get weak. Like if your confidence drops, you physically get weak, like literally physically. And so I don't know. I think it might have something to do with that. Him trolling people, him messing with people, because if you can throw them off and get them insecure, well, you in essence weaken them.
Well, now you know his tell. So as soon as he starts in on you, the personal attacks, then you just jab him in the jaw, and he'll be like, "Dude, why'd you hit me?" Well, you were doing your thing. I knew you were gonna come in on me next. But now you know his tell.
But here's the thing, like anybody who's ever gone to the club, if you're a guy, right, and you go to the clubs and you're trying to, hit on chicks and trying to pull chicks straight up.
Hey,
and,
baby.
What's the old Saturday Night Live when they're like, what did it do? No more. What was those guys?
Right, with Will Ferrell and the dude that plays Mango. Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan.
All right.
Chris Kattan.
They're almost making fun of the whole entire pickup industry, right? Or the pickup guys. So I say that because you're always being like, you go out to the club. There's another dude he's going for that same girl. You both want to talk to her. And I can't tell how many times when I would go, like I would have other dudes just straight like barking, right? And like you could get caught up in it, or you could just simply just kind of, you could get so focused on your reality that you literally just ignore them. Like literally, like I've literally had situations like that, and you just kind of, and once you ignore the barking dog, it loses its power. And I think you don't need to pop him. Just be so strong in your reality that you're good. The only problem is the man is the president of the United States of America, who has the strongest military and financial force in the world. So regardless of trying to pop him or not, the man is he has a shadow that towers over you in case you want to ignore him. So I don't think you can. Like in that position, I don't think you can. At least in a club, right? Like I can outwit you, or I can have fun, right? And it's like a wrong mistake, and your country doesn't get subsidies from America.
Or I can call the AC-130 and have a flying artillery strike.
Right, exactly.
Hey, Mr. Trump, there's a dude hitting on your wife over here at the club. Hold on a minute. Pete?
Yeah.
Pete?
Yes,
Pete?
Get over here.
Get over here. You're that war guy, right? Yeah. See the dude over there in the gold lame vest?
Just go talk.
Arc light strike.
Like, dude, so this is real, right? Like when you look at his movement, and he is trollish. He almost, if you don't do what he wants you to do, he's going to help you get there. Like, and so it's one of those things that I think is like his. I hate the fact that he treated women in his early years in a way that wasn't appropriate, right? Like, and some of the stupid things, like, absolutely. Like,
Well, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
but it was part sometimes of that culture, right? Like when you hear about the things, like you hear your grandpa start talking about his stories, or your dad start talking about the stories that they did, and you're like, dang, you did what? Or you hear about like, oh, he was 22 and he married a 13-year-old kid, and you're like, what? Like, you did what? Right? Like, what is? But it was that kind of mindset at that time. They were knuckleheads. They were stupid.
I agree with you. In the 80s were different. First of all, you remember he was in with Howard Stern and that shock jock thing, and they were doing things for entertainment purposes that now today people are like, oh my God, can't believe what he did. I mean, it was just show. It was just show. But the 80s were different. The 80s were different, and that whole thing of women throwing themselves on the wealthy guys of Wall Street in New York was a real thing. And it wasn't like the women were conservative and be like, oh my God, these guys took advantage of us. They were out in the burbs putting on the hoochie mama outfits and then going in the 80s hoochie mama outfits, as you might suspect. So they're really interesting. And going in and having good weekends with guys that suddenly were making more money than they could possibly imagine. When they came out of that recession from the 70s and the high interest rates, and Wall Street boomed from the economy in the 80s, before the late real estate crash of the late 80s, it was crazy. I remember, I've probably told you this story, but my first experience working in New York City, I was 17, just turning 18, and the other intern I'm working with said, oh, hey, one of my dad's coworkers is after work going uptown to go to this event or something like that. We can get a ride with them and see what it's about, and then take the train home from Penn Station instead of Newark. And I was like, fine, whatever. And I said, how are we gonna get there? And he's like, I'm not sure. But then all of a sudden the guy shows up in a limo, and he's not like an executive. He's just a trader of some sort. I didn't even, to this day, I don't know what. A limo full of cocaine and other stuff. And I'm like, this is a 17/18-year-old, like, what you talking about, Willis? And that was the 80s. And then, of course, later they were talking about that they're on their way to Scores, which is a strip club, and all this stuff. And then, the concept is that they were not going to be alone that night. And as the 17, 18-year-old, my buddy Jim and I were like, let's get the hell out of here. And so, but anyway, that was the 80s, and that was different. I could talk about that for ages because I lived it as a youngster, not as a participant in that stuff. But it was a very interesting time, very different, very, very different time than now. On that, but see, ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday. Friday we get off a little tangent on things, which is fine. Vincent from Nigeria. Boss, why Trump controlling cryptocurrency makers market pump and dump signal? Because he's the man right now. Pedro was just talking about how Donald Trump is the leader of, right now, the strongest economy in the world that's on its way up. Europe is, their economy is almost as large as US, but fewer people. I mean, it's spread out over more people. They have 700 million now in the greater Europe. And it's just we're the hegemon of the world in almost every aspect you can think of, in wealth, and in controlling the world's reserve currency of the dollar, military, and in political influence. It's just, China is very good with the political influence, but still, nobody actually wants to be aligned with China. Unlike the Canadians, who just announced that they were having a strategic partnership with Canada, or Canada and China, as our friend, and we're going to overlook all of the things that have been going on between us, which means China basically paying to influence the elections here, and that type of stuff. And then combine that with Mr. Trump trying to isolate China, and you have a problem. Oh, Pedro, speaking of Mr. Trump and his influence, last night, I'm sitting here doing some work here, and Mrs. Striking, who's reviewing the news of the night before her next day's work, all of a sudden I hear from the other room, oh my God. And what? I said, Trump just tweeted, and what happened was Trump last night announced, over Truth Social that he is cutting off trades with Canada, cutting off trade negotiations with Canada because they're not being genuine in the process. And what it turns out, the government of Ontario took footage from Ronald Reagan's speeches about tariffs and chopped it up so it didn't say what Ronald Reagan said. They made it sound better than when it was for their position in using to advertise to try and influence court decisions in the United States, of which it's partially illegal to do that unless they're registered as foreign agent. Literally, the government of Ontario has to register as a foreign agent in the US to do that. And so Trump learned about it and said, that's it, Canada, you've screwed yourself again. And now Canada's stuck with China. Pedro, I gotta go take some language classes now. I'll be back in a little bit.
No worries. I would stick more to Cantonese because I think they'll really push. They'll really push the Cantonese on you guys. So I mean, hey, good luck with that.
Well, that's the Cantonese is to Mandarin Chinese is like the restaurant Mexican to English.
Yeah, I apologize.
I mean, it's more. No. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. No, Cantonese is the language of the people, and the Mandarin is the upper class stuff that they speak in Beijing.
Got it. So that's what I mean then. Yeah, you're gonna be one of their subordinates. You're definitely not gonna be part of the high. You know what's funny is if, let's say, China does take over America somehow, some way, whatever, right? Let's say an alternate universe or whatever happens. They have a very class system, right? Even though they don't.
Right.
They don't, but
they do.
Very much is. Yeah, very much. And in the same sense, like, who would they deem to be better populace? Would it be the Canadians? Would they be Americans? Like, who do you think? Because I'm curious, like, just as a word thought, are they going to want to sit there and say, let's do more business with America than Canada? Like, if they had to pick, granted, we may be more cruder and we may not even be as intelligent as Canadians, from a percentage wise of people, right? I mean, I really don't know. But, like, would you want to work and deal with Americans, or would you want to work and deal with Canadians? Like, who's the bigger asset here?
Well, it depends.
You traverse both borders.
It depends if you include the Frenchmen in this, the Quebecois speaking people, because the rest of Canada is essentially one big America. They're similar. I mean, like, it's something like 30% of English speaking Canadians are also Americans by marriage. Or not by marriage, by one parent, or have married cross-border, like this guy right here. And so there's a mass in the businesses, or most of the businesses in Canada are cross-border, even though they say we're Canadian. They're essentially American style and content and all that type of stuff. And when you look at the manufacturing hub of the world over time, now it's in Shenzhen, China, but the Great Lakes region is one big industrial region with a fake border running through it, ruining the whole thing. And so, essentially, the Canadians and the English-speaking Canadians and the Americans are on the same wavelength most of the time. The Quebec group throws a wrench into the whole thing simply because they just have it's a slightly different culture, and they're more independent-minded. They're like, we're Quebec, we have our own prime minister, we have our own legislature, we don't really need Canada. But we like the free money we get from Alberta, every month, and big checks from the oil and all that. So if I was China and I was wanting to do this, I would appeal to the English speakers over here and tell the French people to go piss off. Sorry, my French Canadian friends. I know, but I'm the American. I can say those things. Pedro, let's take a quick break at the bottom of the hour here. for a once again, I believe I have one more commercial break. Our viewers have been very good to us this Friday, Pedro. Oh, nope, look at that. It just timed out because we dropped under 10. All right, well, I'll have to wait for a couple of more viewers to come back. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's the top of the it's the bottom of the hour here on DYOR Live. And you're watching the one and only Pedro Garcia here and Striking, otherwise known as Tom, here on the daily talk show, DYOR Live and the DYOR Media. The market not doing much today. Market's up only 554 points in the Dow, so good little run up. The Dow being up little over 1%. S&P 500 up 1%. NASDAQ up 1.3%. And leading the charge is the Russell, the small business index. Russell 2000 is up 1.4%, doing well. Volatility is a negative 5%, which is interesting. But Pedro, let's circle back to the conversation we were having earlier that you were watching a gold trade here. The market is up. Is that forcing gold down? You mentioned you had one order that stopped out. Is it turning around to come back? And I'm asking this question not just to generate conversation about gold, but if the gold market's going to turn around and go up, maybe the market and Bitcoin will decide to finish Friday down.
Maybe, potentially. But, correlation is not necessarily causation. I'll put it like this. America still has a ton of issues in relationship to the debt. The debt, they're fighting tooth and nail to not raise the debt ceiling. But the reality is how far is this government shutdown going to go? You know what I'm saying? Will the Republicans subside and say, well, we need to work through this, right? I think that's important to understand, because in all reality, if we keep printing money, if we don't balance our budget, and we have to go out and basically get a loan to run our government, hence causing that debt to go higher. No, gold is going to continue higher. You know what I'm saying? And we may see, as well as, and according to my hypothesis, that I had to kind of revamp, is that assets in a high inflationary environment, they go up. And so that means we potentially, this melt up that you've heard people talk about may continue much further. So gold will continue to go up, because that means that, financial institutions like the World Bank, as well as many other Federal Reserves around the world, are buying gold. You're seeing literally a bunch of countries out there buying gold. So it may pull back because from a trading standpoint, but on a large scale, no. If we don't get the debt under control, everything else is going to go up while we see our dollar and our purchasing power go down.
All right, let me re-ask my question here. In the next 2 hours.
There we go. Okay, let me do an analysis.
Is your trade going to come in? Is your trade going to play out? Looks like, I don't know what, that's a 2 hours. No. So over the past 6 hours, it's working. Maybe it didn't come down and hit your number. What's the story? The reason I was asking, I realize causation isn't correlation. But if gold can pump at the end of the day, that means the market can come down. Bitcoin's been tracking the market here lately. Again, and so I'm hoping for a Friday dump here, or at least a low liquidity Saturday dump of Bitcoin, just so I can say my chart was right. No, that's not why. But I wanted to see if what I've learned over time actually would play out through an entire month. So what's gold doing in these next few hours? What are the moving averages showing us? What's everything? Come on! I got a lot of coffee in me today. Come on.
I can see. It's okay. Honestly, in the next couple hours, we're probably gonna see it come down. I was saddened because we did not continue to go up on my trade, so whatever. Looks like we're coming down. Yeah, we could come down, and the gold coming down to 4122 area, which is going to be around here, 4122-ish area, and that would be the end. And so we could see the S&P 500 push up, honestly. So if in that idea of correlation with the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. So yeah, it is kind of looking like gold kind of might sell off for the day, where we see an S&P 500 push up.
So the opposite of what I was expecting. All right.
Yeah.
Damn.
'Cause I thought we're going to see a gold push, but it just, it basically just died off on me. And I was watching volume step in on the morning coming in. I'm sitting there going like, okay, cool, we should see this thing continue.
Yeah, the chart you have up there's the 2-hour chart, and so that's 5 to 6 hours of volume here. It did all right there.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So it's just, you can see here we've had over the 30 minutes. You can see this over a 30-minute period. You can kind of peer in deeper, but you can see here that we did put in a lot of sell pressure. Now, if you look at the 5 minute, it's a little bit different. You can see here, on the 5 minute, the S&P 500 is really kind of like, we're seeing it kind of weaken right here, right? But all the real volume really kind of came in right there, saying it wanted to push up. I'm not seeing a ton of demand wicks, but I don't see it selling off really. So we'll see though. We'll continue to monitor the situation as we continue. But you can see on the 30 minute, we have a lot of demand wicks coming in. So what are you going to say? No say. I do expect it to go up, and then kind of see what happens there. Yep. We might close above the high of today on the S&P 500, which is going to be that 68.41. So I think we probably will close up at this level here, creating a new all-time high, I believe. Yeah, new all-time high should be 8. Closing above that will just basically decimate the shorts. Decimate. You see, it went up to come down to go up. That's what, because in a bull run, that's when it wants to go up.
On my trade wave, I can't actually figure out what the S&P 500 symbol is.
Well, I just look at the futures, and that's ES.
No, I get that, but my data thing, the API for that stuff goes through 12data.com, and I can't actually figure out what the S&P 500 is. You got to, it's like ES, USD.
What's it called? What's the thing called?
12data.com. On TradeWave over here, it says, I can choose between crypto and commodity, but it's actually, crypto and everything else.
What is the... Interesting. It says on 12data.com, the ticker symbol for the S&P 500 is SPX. This corresponds to the S&P 500 index.
I thought I tried that. SPX.
Not the future contract. And it's often listed under the exchange code index. So try index or CBOE, depending on the data source integration.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that every one of these things has a slightly different way of reporting it. Just like when you call up, some random altcoin, and there's 13 different ways to list its pairs.
Gotcha. Yeah.
This is a similar problem for me. And and also I don't have a lot of experience pulling up quotes. I've spent a lot of time on TradingView and CoinGecko for crypto and stuff like that.
Got it. I got it. Ethereum is looking shy here, man. I thought we were gonna see a push up, based off of the weekly chart here, bouncing off that 20. It's not looking too good. for the shorts here. We're just seeing all the shorts just weaken here. Look at that. They're just getting worn down. I'm seeing a bullish Ethereum, man. I know it doesn't look like it, but damn.
So Pedro, in my typing over here, I typed in SPX USD under the commodity thing here, which goes out to financial exchanges, not to CoinGecko, and it came up with SPX 6900 / US dollar, and it's pegged to $1, or it's at $1. And it's up 2%. That means it's not a stable coin if it's up 2%. Oh wait, it could be its 24-hour high. Does SPX 6900 also have a stable coin?
I don't know, but they might. I don't know. I mean, they started off as a meme coin and turned into a juggernaut. I mean, they are coming out with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people who are using their whole entire ecosystem. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's listed over here on CoinGecko, over here, the TradeWave app, at a $1 billion market cap, priced at $1. 24-hour low, 95 cents, 24-hour high, $1.06. That's not stablecoin type stuff. That must be the price of it. And you can see the year-long chart here going down to as low as 49 cents here on the TradeWave app over here. And then as high as $2.
I think you got it. It's 99 cents. I see it right now.
Well, what's interesting is that it was coming in on my other feed as well. All right, that just means I haven't figured it out well yet.
Coming.
Anyway, DYOR Media posts. That's me. For those of you that have been commenting on Rumble for a while now, what? I saw these options at the bottom of the chat window to post the Rumble icons or emojis or something like that, along with the Bitcoin emoji. Have those always been there? I never noticed them. Anyway, Crypto Mike in the house says he shouldn't have sold his SPX years ago.
Yeah, man, these guys.
Yeah, remember that thing started, and it didn't do much. I mean, it did okay for a year. And when you look at, Pedro's got their chart up there, just kind of hung out, but it looked like, here, Pedro, move that over so I can see the early years.
We were literally, we found it when it was at, it was less than 100 million market cap.
Yeah.
We were looking at it. We started, think about it like this. It was literally a few days they had come. This is when they just first launched. And I would have drawn this in right here. For me to put that in, they had to look somewhere around here. Right?
Hey, can you move that over just a bit? There you go.
Right, like, mind you, let's go look at the market cap here real quick at that level. And we're talking, 15, 20 million. Here we go. You talk about a slip on our end. I mean, we're literally looking at this when it was cents. I mean, like less than a cent. What was it? It was point.
Well, it was their first big run up when we spoke to them.
Yes, it was right here. It was when they were under 1 cent. It was 207, and they came back down into 0.0019.
We streamed about it October 9th, 2024.
October 9th?
Yeah, that's when we did a show about it. We talked about it before that, but that's when we did a separate, that was like the theme of the show.
You mean October 23, right? I thought it was 20.
No, we spoke about it. I'm looking at the episode here. In October of 2024, a year ago.
So October 2024, right here, the initial pump.
Well, let me rephrase it. That's when we did a show about it, we had spoken about it before then.
Okay.
Because I went and joined their community. After we talked about them and said, hey, this thing's got potential, I went and joined their community. By the time we did a full show about them, they went through that mega cycle.
Yeah, this was us slipping right here. We should have just bought. I mean, we're talking, that thing was, it was a juggernaut. Absolutely a juggernaut. Who's the one who mentioned this? Was it Draco? Is it Draco who mentioned SPX?
I don't remember. Draco, did you? Jesus, did you have it? Here's the episode thumbnail here.
Yeah, man, it was.
Yeah, because here we had already mentioned. Look at how I used to do things before I used AI. or before I used AI well. But Millionaires Minted. This was after it did its big cycle. When we first talked about it, we were like, this is interesting. Because you know what? I remember the conversation now, and it's not in this episode, but it's in the one when we first started talking about it. Is when we brought it up, you were concerned, because at the time the Biden administration was still running the show, that they were going to try and take on the S&P 500, and you were like, there's some obvious regulatory issues here with crypto and all that. We don't want to be involved with that. And I was like, no, this is just a meme of it, because 6,900 is better than 500, and that was their meme. And it turned out it was for a while. Although I would hasten to say that the S&P 500 is catching up quickly.
Well, they're at 1 billion, and I believe the S&P 500 is 40 trillion right now, or maybe 60 trillion. I mean, look, from a media from under from under 20 million to 1 billion has been a nice little pump, and they got all the way up to 2 billion, and they're showing us still a lot of strength. This is the part that's so crazy, is people are legitly holding on to this. I wonder if they've got a meme coin. I wonder if they do got a stable coin that is paying people in their ecosystem. That would be smart, and so that's why you would hold on to it. You would want to see the wealth of SPX 6,900 go all the way up to billions, because if it's paying you in their own stable, or do they have a stable? I gotta find out.
I don't know. I'll put it on the list of things to do.
But yeah, that's absolutely crazy. They've gotta. I know. I mean, I still see stuff every day that's being posted. They still have a huge army. Their army is no joke, right? They've got a big promotion team in it. So I don't know. It's a strong nation here. It's a strong crypto nation here. That's for sure.
Pedro, is there any? It's just not. Let's change the subject real quick for the end of the show here. Is there any XRP news today? Because everything on the trade wave is showing red here. We're finishing the afternoon is starting to bring prices down in a 24-hour time period, not during our show. But XRP is bucking the trend, showing some being up 2.5%. Oh, like I said, since this time yesterday.
Yeah, we talked about on this week that we've seen a lot of buyers step in. I mean, when you look at this week in general, you had the big sell-off that happened last week. Boom, boom, boom. And then when that came in, though, we had a lot of buyer wicks. We had a lot of demand wicks on the hour as we were selling off. So for me, when I see something, I always say that's them putting in their orders. And then you can see here, over the last few days, we had a sell-off. And you saw a similar situation where look at all the demand wicks coming in as we're selling off. So to me, I'm sitting there going like, yeah, it makes sense. They've let it kind of consolidated for a couple days. I mean, look at like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then boom, now they're pushing for profit. So that doesn't make sense. I mean, they've probably been long in between, that 39 area down to, that 32 cents to 39. So now they're pushing for profit for the end of the week because they went up to go down to go up. Again, remember, if you're in a bull run, it's go down to go up, or go up to go down to go up, right? So that they can bring in the sellers, or they can bring in the buyers so they can short it to drop it. Because sometimes if you have too many buyers in a market, you can't, or excuse me, if you have too many sellers buy. Okay, yeah. If you have too many buyers in a market, you don't have enough sellers in it, and so you can't do they need orders to fill their buys, and so there's too many buyers. It's a crowded trade, and so now you've got to drop in the traders, because I'm a trader. So if I'm trading XRP and on the intraday it's going down, I'm going to short that. Well, that takes the order for the institution. And so they'll allow it to drop for a day or two before they push it up. And that's that mentality of first push up to go down. That pushing up is me buying so they can short it, then drop it, and then get the crowd or get people like me out of the way, the speculators, so that they can take my stop. So they're going to take my stop and they're going to take my short. So either way, I'm happy because I was able to participate in the push up, and then they sold off, took my stop. I made profit already. Then they drop it down, creating sellers, because I have to short now. I'll be looking to short it as it goes down. And then I want to sit there and say, and then they take those buys as I short, because my short acts as a sell, and then they buy that sell. So yeah, it makes sense. As I was saying, the majority of that trading range at the bottom part, really where they were sitting. So it makes sense that they pushed up. And they have that 20 period moving average. So it's that 254 area that I'm looking at, that they would probably be going towards where the 20 period. You just want to be careful that once they get up to that 200-day period moving average sitting at the 259 area, that's where you're going to start to see it pull back again. But yeah, but from that, it looks good.
I hate it when you say that.
Why?
It's Ripple. It's Ripple after all. But just like the analogy you said that your friend told you, doesn't matter if you like it or not, it's printing people money. So
yeah, I mean, be agnostic, crypto agnostic, and make that money.
I guess that's a good point. That just shows to me that no matter how hard I try, I still have emotion in my trading, which I should not have. I should have rules, and I should have trade setups, and that's it.
But here's the part that's beautiful. Once you have that, you refine it. So regardless of your trading or not, you can be trading, and because you have rules that you're following, you're not swayed by the goading of them trying to pull you in. You're like, well, it says that will most likely come down, right? And so I'll still go long understanding that it should come down, but the market's moving up. One of my trades is if the market's moving, or one of my rules is if the market is moving up or above my moving averages, I am not to go short. I'm not going to go short because I have more of a chance that it's going to go against me than it go my way.
That's true. Ladies and gentlemen, we're finishing up the show today. Cardano down a little bit. Tron down a little bit, only 4% in the past 24 hours. Although Tron was up a lot yesterday when the market was moving down. They were moving up. Dogecoin. What am I driving a Ram truck here? Dogecoin down. Solana down 1%. XRP up. BNB down 2.5%. Ethereum down 0.65%. Bitcoin holding down in the low 110s here towards the end of the show. Let's see what other. Chainlink basically unchanged. Hyperliquid is on its way down, but Hyperliquid did quite well over the past couple of days. Had a nice pump. Let's see, it's 24-hour low, 38.8. 24-hour high is $40. Hyperliquid now back to $10 billion in market cap. It's just amazing. Just amazing. Let's quickly brush up on our trade section here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I like to talk about where Pedro and I are going with this. Pedro still has an order in to buy Ethereum. I'm sorry, ICP. ICP is his first trade on the list here. Buy Internet Computer Protocol at $2, essentially $2, $2.05. Looking to get out of it at an exit price, terminus exit price of $4.70. ICP is just hanging out in its price, not getting any further away or closer. His second trade is Ethereum that he's got posted on the TradeWave app. Ethereum, the planned buy is $3,300, and the exit price would be right around the price where it is now. So Pedro's looking for a dip in Ethereum, buy the dip, and sell it when it comes back to where it is now. His notes from this trade say you need to see some demand wicks on the way down, and fewer supply wicks. That's what he's looking for. And I have a trade in there as well for BNB. BNB, I have an entry price of $9.50 and an exit price of $125, which is both are lower than they are here now. We've been seeing, and the reason I have it in is before the, I got a spelling error, before the Glash, I meant to say Flash, the Glash crash happens, have this order in. We've been seeing a lot of Binance flexing its muscles, especially now that CZ, even though he's not the CEO, he's still, it's my guess, is the major shareholder in the company. You still see Binance flexing its market maker positions, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see BNB have a massive dip down before running up again. And so have an order in down low. And I think that 950 level, Pedro, I picked because you had showed me a liquidity level there or something like that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you know, that's all we got for you today. Pedro's going to look at this BNB real quickly here.
Second.
I can't change this. Why can't I change it? All right, my system is frozen.
Here we are. So BNB is actually if it closes about right where it's at right now, it's actually a bullish sign. I know it's like you're not, because it's a month. It's kind of in between. It's sitting on that 8 period moving average on the weekly. You can watch it right now, just hanging out. And if you go probably to your smaller time frames, excuse me. You can see here, big old huge buyer wick, our big old body here. Yeah, like around here.
Crypto Mike says, DYOR, like my beans now, don't you? You betcha. You betcha, hey there, as they would say in Manitoba. Mike says CZ will be CEO or something soon. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. You know, he's got a full pardon now from the president, assuming he's the largest shareholder with Binance. Although, you know what, he's probably at that point in his life now after working as essentially a slave for 20 years in this industry, in which he's enjoying someone else running the company, whereas he gets to do his other things while still reaping the benefits of making fat stacks of cash.
Well, what's interesting is
moving on up.
I wonder where his buy trade is. I want to know where his buy position is, and Aster, in all honesty. Like, that is really interesting to me. And how much he made off of Aster.
I'm sure is plenty. But like we know though, I mean, he could say he made $100 million in Aster. I mean, he's made billions in Bitcoin simply because he famously bought and helped finance Binance by buying tons of Bitcoin really low. I mean, massively, low, and ended up having, piles of Bitcoin. At one point, Binance was the largest Bitcoin holder for a while. Not anymore, but still, up there at the top of the list. And so
they're in the top 10.
They got plenty of monies, as they say. Plenty of monies. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's Pedro and I's show for the day. Who's going to get the last comment out there for the week? Pedro, we're still lacking on premium time, so this weekend you'll probably see, if you're around, you can join me, but you'll probably see me do a premium hour or two, just talking about same stuff I always do during it, and that's the learning experience and the October month, how it played out, and my reasoning for things, and the inputs you've given me over the time leading up to October, and how it wanted to start, how it wanted to finish, and how it gets from A to B, and A to Z, and A to Z, A to Z, as the Canadians would say. I had that reversed. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we had a good show. Thank you to Pedro Garcia for all of his effort he put in this week. Crypto Mike's getting the last comment of the day. Have a good night, folks. Have a good weekend, everybody. You might see me live here for some premium time. If you're not a member of Rumble Premium, please join. You can use the code STUDIO to get $10 off your annual subscription, or use the Perplexity bonus thing and save a bunch of money on a Perplexity and a Rumble subscription. Thanks to all of our sponsors for this show for taking us under the wing and paying us those fat stacks of cash. I think we made a total of about 85 cents today. Whoop! Moving up! Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week here, Monday. It's not a holiday in either one of the countries, I don't believe. So have a good time, have a good week, have a good weekend. Stay out there, be safe. See you on the same bat channel, same bat time. On behalf of Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst here, my name is Striking, otherwise known as Tom in the real world. So glad to have hosted another great episode and great week of this show. We'll see you next week.